So I just got done watching the Parish TV series with Giancarlo Esposito. As you see in the title, you see it in the thumbnail, it's fun, but has flaws. Let's talk about it. Now, if you are new to the channel and you do like these types of videos, do consider hitting that subscribe button as we're on our goal to try and reach 500 subscribers by the summertime. And if you've seen the show, let me know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are about it. Do you think there'll be a season 2? This is going to be non-spoiler, so if you haven't seen the show, we won't go into spoilers or anything like that. But I do want to know your thoughts for those of you that have seen it. Let me know in the comment section down below. And also don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, hit the notification bell, just all that YouTube stuff. But if you're unaware, this show is basically about Giancarlo Esposito's character. He's haunted by the violent murder of his son. Parish finds himself thrusted into an adrenaline-charged thrill ride through the criminal underworld with no escape. The wrong way may be his only way out. Right off the bat, we'll start off with the good, then we'll go into like the negatives and then the overall conclusion here. But right off the bat, the very first episode, the very first opening sequence is you've got this car chase in the middle of New Orleans with like I don't know if it was like Mardi Gras or like just this carnival going on in the middle of the street. So right off the bat, it hooks you in. You've got Giancarlo Esposito's character, Parish, who's just driving around. So you get this thrilling, suspenseful, edge of your seat sort of opening sequence that honestly hooks you in and you're invested in what's going to happen here. With Giancarlo Esposito's character, I'm a huge fan of his work, like from Breaking Bad to the Kaleidoscope Netflix series that he was a part of, along with being part of Mandalorian. He's apparently being rumored to be part of X-Men 2 in an undisclosed role. So I'm a huge fan of his work, and his performances once again honestly just kills it, going from like a grieving father, because as you hear in the plot line, he is grieving his son who's like a teenager at the time who got shot down, and he's also looking to like trying to find out who killed his son. But like his performances throughout this whole story are going from where he starts off, right off the bat from that opening sequence, we come to find out that he has left this criminal lifestyle. He's trying to settle down with his own wife, his daughter. He also owns, I believe it was a taxi company as well. So you just get this balanced character, and Giancarlo Esposito really nails the performances, not only going from like just this regular business owner, but then splitting into going from that to then working into like this criminal lifestyle, getting that all brought back, the emotional aspect of like losing his son and trying to find out who shot him down. So there's just some great balancing elements in there, and then what they do from his character from the very first episode to the finale and what it sets up, absolutely incredible writing. And Giancarlo Esposito again just kills it in his performances in this show. Once again, another fantastic standout with him, but I had no doubts with him because like I said, he's a fantastic actor. I'm a huge fan of his work. But while we're speaking in terms of cast, so you've got an excellent cast in here. Granted, some of them I've not seen them in any previous work, but you've got the crime family that he gets mixed up in. So you've got the three siblings, you've got Zachary Moma, you've got Bonnie Mbuli and Ivan Mbakop. I apologize if I butchered any of those names, but those three and their dynamic and their chemistry worked so well. They really were another standout in the show, and that chemistry and that bonding with the three of them as their siblings, I think works really well, and that balancing act when it comes to like their rivalry as well really works well. So again, I don't think I've seen them in any previous projects, but I was a huge fan of their work. Especially you've got Zackary, who is basically like the leader of this crime family right now, played as the horse, and he just really nails it in his performances, going from what he goes through in the first half of the show to then from the second half of the show. I think that just works really well, and him and Giancarlo Esposito's character just play really well off of each other. So the cast just nailed it in their performances with what they were given with the script, because the script, while it does have its flaw, and I'll talk about that in the negatives, it just works. It was just well balanced and worked really well with the story that they were going for. So that is a huge positive. I have to give huge praise to the cast that was involved in this show. And especially in the first half, there is a lot of intense edge of your seat thrill riding sequences that you get from, like I said, the opening sequence in the episode to even what happens later on in the very first episode, and then the next couple of episodes. The first half is just action packed, thrill riding, edge of your seat, intense sequences that you're all in for because of the performances that are given in this show and because of how everything is entangled in the storyline with what's taking place. So there's no like throwaway action sequences or anything like that. There's some intense like heist sequences, there's some car chase sequences, there's some shootout sequences, but it's just all entangled with the story and with the performances that it just works so well and you're so invested in it. And so you get two different storylines, like I said. So you've got Giancarlo Esposito's character Gray, who's going after his son's murderer, like trying to figure out who that is. You've got this whole underworld crime syndicate gang battle that's also taking place between those three siblings and like other crime families in there. So there is some great story elements that are taking place that really work well throughout each episode. And also with the episodes coming in around 45 to 50 minutes, a lot of things are fleshed out so nicely, especially the whole crime battle that you've got going on with like the three siblings trying to stamp their foot into the city. And there's some really interesting elements in that, because like what they're doing in terms of like their family and their business compared to like the rivalry that they've got going on with like the other people and trying to stamp in their authority, there is some really interesting elements in there that was invested heavily into. And it really brought in where there are some moments where there is a threat going on, where there is tension, where there is moments that you could think what's going to happen with these characters. So those moments and those storylines just worked well and was fleshed out for the most part, especially towards like the build up to the finale. I really enjoyed the finale of this series, and everything was building up and most of it was brought to a satisfying conclusion. I'll talk about some aspects that I have mixed on when it comes to like the negative side of things, but there were some really interesting things that took place throughout the whole show that was resolved pretty nicely and sets up some really interesting things that can take place in season 2. Now, they haven't really announced anything when it comes to like season 2, which I really do hope they do, because what they set up, season 2 could really flesh out and possibly be better than season 1 because of what they set up in the finale. However, in terms of the negatives, so because with the show, my biggest gripe I have is that it's only 6 episodes. So you've got a lot of things that you want to throw in there and a lot of elements that you want to build upon, but there was just not enough time to flesh things out, especially with Giancarlo Esposito's character when it comes to like the family dynamic. In terms of his wife, his daughter, they're not really part of the show as much as like I feel like they could have been. They have moments to shine in a couple of episodes, but then other than that, they're sort of like background characters, side characters are just there. And then the whole aspect of the history of like his son, you get a little bit of flashbacks between him and his relationship with his son, but there's not enough time to really flesh that out. I wish we could have explored that a little bit more, especially with him going after trying to figure out who shot his son and how his son got to that situation. I wanted to explore that a little bit more, so there wasn't enough time for that, because you've got, like I said, you've got two different stories going on. You've got like the situation between Gray's character and trying to figure out who shot his son, who killed his son, and trying to get that resolved, trying to find his inner peace, with also him being mixed up into the whole crime elements. And then you've got the crime syndicates or the crime gang people that are like battling it out for supremacy. So there is a lot of interesting things that they wanted to put in there, but a lot of things felt a little bit rushed, especially towards like the finale, that I wish we could have just got explored a little bit more, especially like the sibling rivalries. Like I mentioned, those three, with the way that everything was going throughout the show, I wish we got to see more of them and like how that relationship is developing, how the rivalry is building, why it's building up in the first place. So I wish we could have got to explore that a little bit more. And as I mentioned, they introduced elements in the finale that looks like it's setting up for season 2, but like when you're watching the finale and the things that are being introduced and being brought up about, I wish that would have been a little bit more explored in the earlier part of the show rather than just throwing it in there in the finale. Granted, like I said, this is going to be setting up for season 2, but I wish that was explored a little bit more, especially because you've also got mentions of characters that are being brought up by name but aren't really in the show itself. So that I really wish was explored more. 6 episodes isn't enough, because this show really has got some interesting premises, really got some interesting story beats to it, but it needs to be fleshed out a lot more. So 6 episodes really isn't enough. This needs to be like at least 8 to 10 episodes because of the things that you want to bring in, because it really is an interesting story that you want to learn more about, but there isn't enough time with the amount of episodes that's part of the show. But overall, because the show really has got some interesting elements, and if there is a season 2, I really cannot wait to see what they're going to do with that, because I'm all in, I'm hooked in, and I absolutely really had a good time with this show. So again, if you've seen the show, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if they are going to make a season 2, hopefully it's more than 6 episodes, because like I said, there's not really too much negatives in there, but it's just the fact that the interesting story points aren't fleshed out. The characters needed more episodes to just build that dynamic and build that tension that you're getting with certain characters, and just some more time with the backstory of Gray and his son and like that family dynamic, so that they do get more screen time, but still a really enjoyable show that I highly recommend, because there is some good setup to what they're building up towards. And again, it's 6 episodes, so you're probably going to be able to binge watch it fairly quickly. So one I would recommend, but definitely is a flawed show. But I do want to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you've seen the show, did you enjoy it? Do you agree that they need more episodes? If you haven't seen the show, do you think you'll be checking it out? Let me know all of that in the comment section down below. Keep an eye out, because we are going to be working on the Planet of the Apes movies. I am planning on releasing Rise of the Planet of the Apes retrospective review along with the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Subscribe so you're not missing out on that. But thank you all so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. This is YK Reviews. Peace.